Okay, so you might have heard our illustrious president truthed out to everybody's, or really nobody's surprise who read Seymour Hersh, that he had ordered bombing of Iran. Now, very quickly, the usual suspects lined up behind him. Here's John Thune, the Republican leader in the Senate. The regime in Iran, which has committed itself to bringing death to America and wiping Israel off the map, has rejected all diplomatic pathways to peace, except, the meeting they were supposed to have that weekend before you bomb them.
Right, exactly.
The mullah's misguided pursuit of nuclear weapons must be stopped. As we take action tonight to ensure a nuclear weapon remains out of reach for Iran, I stand with President Trump and pray for the American troops and personnel in harm's way. Speaker Mike Johnson. The military operations in Iran should serve as a clear reminder to our adversaries and allies that President Trump means what he says. The president gave Iran's leader every opportunity to make a deal, except, meeting for the scheduled negotiations over the weekend. But Iran refused to commit to a nuclear disarmament agreement. No, they refused to commit to not having their own civilian nuclear energy program and depending on outside, likely hostile powers to provide their nuclear fuel. President Trump has been consistent and clear that a nuclear-armed Iran will not be tolerated. That posture has now been enforced with strength, precision, and clarity. The president's decisive action prevents the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, that would be us, I think, which chants death to America, from obtaining, they're really fixated on that, and they want you to be too, from obtaining the most lethal weapon on the planet. This is America First policy in action. Wow. God bless our brave men and women in uniform, the most lethal fighting force on the planet, as we pray for their safe return home. May God bless America. Hey, Keaton, I forget. What's the only country on earth ever to bomb a civilian population with a nuclear weapon?
That would be the United States of America.
Oh, well, maybe
Twice.
we're a threat to the peace and safety of other people, maybe. So Thomas Massie actually responded to Speaker Johnson. Why didn't you call us back from vacation to vote on military action if there was a serious threat to our country? Well, that seems like a reasonable question that's going to go without an answer.
That's the other thing. Yeah, they're on vacation.
Yeah. And Massie continues. I introduced a war powers resolution on Tuesday while Congress was on vacation. We would have had plenty of time to debate and vote on this. And he responded to the big guy, the new big guy. This is not constitutional. There's fighting words in that town. Constitution? We don't need no stinking constitution. Khanna. Trump struck Iran without any authorization of Congress. We need to immediately return to D.C. and vote on Thomas Massie and my war powers resolution to prevent America from being dragged into another endless Middle East war. So, as you probably know, Khanna and Massie have co-sponsored a War Powers Act to reclaim the power that Congress is supposed to have to declare war. And surprising everyone, Tim Kaine has been one of the most outspoken Democrats for the War Powers Bill.
Calling this the white bread rebellion.
Yeah, well, not Khanna.
That's true, but Massie and Tim Kaine. That's some Wonder Bread shit there.
I mean, so's the whole government.
Right.
The American public is overwhelmingly opposed to the U.S. waging war on Iran. And the Israeli foreign minister admitted yesterday that Israeli bombing had set the Iranian nuclear program back at least 2 or 3 years. So what made Trump recklessly decide to Russian bomb today? horrible judgment. I will push for all senators to vote on whether they are for this third idiotic Middle East war. Hey, man, when you're right, you're right. So Thomas Massie had a joint appearance today with Khanna on Face the Nation. And Massie said some stuff about AIPAC that I got to say, it does represent a change in what you could say on corporate media, that he only got very mild pushback on pointing out that AIPAC made this decision. I think if you had said that a year ago, the anchor would have felt a need to do an obligatory meltdown. Like, she questioned it, but not very strongly. All right, so let's take a look.
Iraq War, the second Iraq War, and the war in Afghanistan, Congress first got the briefings. Congress met and debated. It should have been declarations of war, but at least they did an authorization of use of military force. We haven't had that. This has been turned upside down, this process.
Well, you heard from Mitch McConnell, the former Republican leader, the senator, say it was a bad week for the isolationists. He was talking about Tucker Carlson, and he was talking about Steve Bannon. Do you think that the president is making a choice here, or is he trying to have it both ways? Both saying, I'm going to please the hawks of the party by bombing, but then I'm going to say I want a peace deal and make the isolationists happy by saying, I'm not committing to anything more than one and done.
Well, I'll concede this. It was a good week for the neocons in the military-industrial complex who want war all the time. I wouldn't call my side of the MAGA base isolationists. We are exhausted. We are tired from all of these wars, and we're non-interventionists. I mean, this was one of the promises. I mean, are you going to call President Trump's campaign an isolationist campaign? What he promised us was we would put America first. And I think there are still voices in this administration. You've still got J.D. Vance. You've still got Tulsi Gabbard.
Shut up already.
RFK Jr. You've still got calmer heads that could prevail.
They were not persuasive in this case, clearly.
Well, somebody was persuasive. AIPAC is very persuasive, for instance, the Israeli law.
Right, and RFK and Tulsi were supposed to be the counterweight to that. So I don't know what you're giving them a credit for, but sorry, I stepped on that. Yes, AIPAC.
And RFK's first declaration was that anti-Semitism was a public health crisis,
right?
Which is probably not what Maha was imagining when they stood behind him.
Right, exactly.
Well, somebody was persuasive. AIPAC is very persuasive. For instance, the Israeli lobby in Congress. If you look at my colleagues' feeds now, they all look the same. They're all tweeting the same message that we've got to support Israel and we've got to do this. My question is, does 3 bombings and we're done with Iran's nuclear ambitions? Is that the 2 weeks to slow the spread of 2025? Is this we were told 2 weeks to slow the spread then.
They hit your lizard brain, you hit their lizard brain. Hit their lizard brain right back. Hey, remember 2 weeks to slow the spread? That's good. That's some good jujitsu from the Kentucky boy.
Now we're told it's just going to take 3 bombings. But what happens when Israel gets bombed again? Is Trump going to sit by and say, no, we're not going to further engage in this war?
At least 60 members of Congress have now signed on to efforts against the Trump-Vance administration's war on Iran. 59 Democrats, 1 Republican. I bet you can guess who the one is. After the attack, Democratic leader Chuck Schumer announced support for the War Powers Act and is urging all senators to vote for it. Talk about a flip-flop. But again, because this is happening under Trump, it puts them in an awkward position because Schumer supports this action against Iran. But he just cannot, as leader of the Democrats in the Senate, back Trump's play on this. If this happened under Harris, he'd be breaking out a kazoo and celebrating. So you can see here the people who have voted for this, and then the co-sponsors in the Senate there for the Senate's version of it, all Democrats except for Sanders, independent technically. But only Thomas Massie has signed on from the House. And frankly, 59 Democrats out of 214? That's nothing to be proud of either.
Yeah.
That is how owned by AIPAC most of these people are. Even though it's Trump, even though it's Trump, most of them still will not speak out to claim their congressional authority against war with Iran.
Yeah, and this is also a good organizing goal as well. Even more short term than impeachment. Like this week, right now, call your senator, call your congressperson, and demand that they vote for this. Absolutely, this is a game changer. Like this is very much an all bets are off type of moment.
Yeah.
This is no longer like, okay, yeah, you got World War III kind of simmering in Ukraine. No, this is it. It's here right now.
Yep.
This is it. This is the moment we've been fearing for the last 20 years. It's here, and we have to stop it.
Please clap.